Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Listen and grow as Del questions the status quo, encourages you to think differently, and empowers you to make a better life. Get ready as Del challenges core beliefs, seeks the truth, and reveals the roadmap to the lifestyle you really want. And now your host, multi-millionaire, national award-winning investor, CEO and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, Del Walmsley.
Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins. I'm your host, Del Walmsley, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. Today, my friends, I want to discuss a topic near and dear to my heart. That is the Lifestyles Unlimited Wealth and Passive Income Expo and Multifamily Masters Bus Tour. This event is coming up here on February 15th. It goes from the 15th to the 18th in Irving, Texas. And we have one of these every year. We have now for many, many years. And it's like the greatest expo, real estate expo in the country. Probably the greatest in the world, because I don't think entrepreneurialism is as big in other countries. But I'm going to try to get across to you today how valuable this really is. A long time ago, and I don't remember how many years ago it was, but somebody came to me and said, hey, they want us to go to an expo up in Dallas. They asked me if we wanted to go to that. And I said, no, I really don't see any need to go to that. I said, because the bottom line is we're bigger than all of them put together. I said, if you really want to have an expo, why don't we just have our own expo? And so that's what we decided to do. And then when we decided what we wanted to be, we sat around and said, well, do we want to invite all these different companies in? And in the very beginning, we thought, okay, well, let's let our ideas match up to these other people's ideas and not be afraid of their ideas and let their ideas come into the expo. And the way I explained it to everybody was I wanted to come off looking like what we were, the father of the industry. And the concept was to be the biggest and the most successful and the best at what we do, and let other people then come in and share their ideas as to how they thought it should all work. Well, I think we did that for 1 or 2 years, and pretty much it became obvious that no one else could even compete with us. And they didn't even like coming in. At first they wanted to come in because they wanted to get access to all of our customers, because we got 50,000 members nationwide. So they thought, well, we'll come in here and we'll throw ideas at them. We'll pick off some of their members. But it didn't happen. What happened was they came in, their members came to the event to see them, and we picked their members off because their ideas weren't as strong as our ideas. Their examples were not as strong as our examples, and so on and so forth. So there it is. After a couple of years, we realized that what we really need to do is fill up the entire experience with stuff that you can grow from, you can learn from. And so we started adding on. Well, it started out, it was just a 2-day event, right? And it grew and grew and grew and grew. And then we added on these bus tours, and that was when it really just totally blew up. I'll tell you, there's what you can tell people in a seminar environment and expo environment, and there's what you can show people on a live bus tour. And I can show you more in one bus tour than you can learn in 2 or 3 or 4 years of being a real estate investor. I can teach you how to be successful by showing you exactly what our people did. So the way it's set up now is we actually do 2 full days of bus tours. We've had to go from 2 buses to 4 buses to 8 buses to 12 buses. And we sold out all 12 buses this year. So every year we add a couple more buses, and every year we sell out because this is the greatest event. So I will spend all day Wednesday with you on these bus tours. Then I will spend all day Thursday with you again on these bus tours. And then when we come back, we will have a debrief where we will actually sit down and have a seminar about what did you learn from all these different properties. What can you glean from this experience? Because a lot of people see this stuff and go, boy, I can't even imagine owning something like this. I can't imagine turning it around and making it this nice. They had no idea what they were going to see. And when we get back, we have to explain it all to them, in detail. Now, we're explaining stuff as we go along. The owners of each property are meeting with us, explaining what's going on. But there it is. Now, after that, that's on Thursday. Thursday from 2 to 7 is check-in for the rest of the exhibition halls. And Lynn Murrow does her famous fireside chat. I'm there with her, but she's the one that does this How to Expo event. And she pretty much tells you, how do you get the most out of this event? And it's a fireside chat with her and I, so we answer questions and so on and so forth. Then after that, we have the welcome reception, and it's kind of like a little party with me. And then Friday, all day long, is at the expert halls. You've got the Preferred Investor Lounge, and you've got a breakfast, and then you've got networking all day long, and networking lunches, and keynote doors open, and around 2 o'clock and around 3 o'clock, I'm up and I give my keynote address. And then afterwards, we have the party. Now, during these days, there are classes going on in all the rooms. We took over this entire center. It's called the Irving Convention Center in Las Colinas, and the Toyota Music Pavilion. So we took them both over because we're that large now. And we have classes going on throughout Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So Friday is my keynote speech, and then after that is a big, giant VIP party. Then Saturday is it's going to be just breakout sessions all day long. If people, we added a whole nother day to it to make it 4 days now because people weren't able to get to all the classes. In other words, we're open for, from 7 to 5 each day in the exhibition halls with these classes. But that means you can maybe get to 4 classes a day, maybe 5 classes a day, and there's like 25 classes. So people want another day where they could cross over, and the stuff they didn't get the first day, they could get the second or the third day. And so we added all that on to make it, more available. One of the other things that we have and have always had is our vendor section area. And this is where you can go and meet the people that can help you do this stuff. Now, remember, one of the things you have to understand is that real estate is a team sport. And if you don't have certain vendors available to you, you're not going to be able to do it. So you're going to be able to meet these vendors and speak to them about your problems, your challenges, and or just get to know them, pick up their card, and have them available to you when you're ready and necessarily need them, type of a deal. So you're preemptively putting your team together, and that's a very important point. So you've got all these different people, but one of the group of people you're going to get to meet are these vendors. And heaven only knows that I could not have done what I've done without vendors. The people, the experts, my insurance guy, my mortgage guy, my painters, you just name it. Every vendor program out there, every type of skill set that you need, you've got to have one that you can count on. And today is Mr. Nate Roberts from Lifetime Tax. Nate, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on, Dale.
Nate and his company have sponsored the Masters Tour for the Expo coming up here next week, and we'll appreciate you doing that. So I have a few questions for you here, Nate, to start this out with. I did my tax return last year, getting ready to do it again this year, and last year I got back $1.2 million, and people go, how'd you get back $1.2 million? I go, well, I paid in $4 million.
So you're still paying some tax, but not as much.
Yeah, I'm paying a lot of tax, but the bottom line is that because I have a good CPA and, we know what we're doing. But I have a question for you. You do this for our Lifestyles members. Why is it that some CPAs don't know all these things? It's not like they're illegal. It's not like they're super fancy, but they just don't have the understanding of this stuff. Why is that?
I think that's a great question, and a lot of it just goes back to the complexity of the tax code. I don't have real numbers, but the last I saw was there's an estimate there's about 70,000 pages of tax code, and that was in 2014, and there's a lot more now. So to expect that anybody knows all of it is unrealistic.
Gotcha. So do you live by the theorem that I live by, defer, 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 die?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It really depends on if I can pay it real cheap up front, I might do it now. So it depends on where I want to rip off the Band-Aid, or do I want to defer it and defer it and defer it? And it's, there's not really any one answer I can give for anybody. It really depends on what you think is best for you.
Yeah, I understand that. I had about 2008 to 10, I made massive millions of dollars from when you had the crash. And I bought stuff 50 cents on the dollar and just made a killing on it. And they were all partnerships and syndication. I decided to get out of all that and just go back to doing my own deals again. And I decided to go ahead and pay the taxes because I think taxes at that time were like 15% on capital, long-term capital gains. I thought, man, I'll never get the money out any cheaper than that. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's a lot of what I'm talking about. It's depending right now, if we're at 15% and let's say tax rates go up, you kind of know the bird in the hand right now. So if I'm going to pay 15% now and let's say they raise it to 37, can I make enough to offset that 37% over the next couple of years or whenever I'm going to cash out? So really that's the conversation. For some people, they got the cash right now, rip off the Band-Aid. Other people, they might defer it for 20, 30 years, in which case the time value of money makes it worth it to say, you know what, I'm going to figure out how long I can defer this, and maybe I'm just going to let it step up when I die and let my kids have it.
When you consider taking someone on as a client, is there any limitations as to who you will take or what your company can take as far as amount of income, net worth, or anything like that, or you take just about anybody that comes in?
We still want a good fit. So a lot of people have different ways they view taxes, and there's an education process and everything else that goes with it. So we'll have a conversation with anybody. Sometimes at the end of the conversation, we're going to bring them on. Other times, it may be, based on what you're looking for right now, these are some things that we would suggest, but, our cost versus the value you're going to get, you may still want to, stick with where you're at. Other ones, so there's not really any standard answer I've got for that. We love bringing on clients. We love helping people out, but depending on if somebody's great with finances, they may not need us. Somebody who's great with ops or sales or something else, they may not be as good with finances, and we can provide a lot more value than we cost. And those are the people that we serve best.
Working with our clients, Lifestyles Unlimited members, what do you focus on?
Usually, first thing I always want to know is, where are you right now? Where do you want to go? So just knowing those two things helps me understand really what are your goals and how can we help you achieve them. So if somebody's goal right now is just get this done as fast and as cheap as possible, then we can do that. But the challenge is sometimes there's a lot of things that they don't even know they're missing. So where we work the best is where there's a lot of things that we can do for you, a lot of ways we can help you out. My favorite thing I do is helping people find money they don't know they're missing.
Explain that.
Well, really depends. I've got clients who will come in and they'll show me their tax returns, and just sometimes there's not a lot we can do. It's just data entry. In that case, we're probably really expensive for just data entry. Other clients, they come in, they've got some really complex situations. They're really easy in their own mind, and yet when we're looking at it, it's like, do you see this? This is where, I'll give you a perfect example. A couple weeks ago, somebody came in. His CPA had been picking up about $1.9 million too much income, which cost him about $700,000 more than he should have paid. And right now he's not real happy with his old CPA, but I can also understand from his records that I see why the CPA didn't catch it either. There's some warning signs, there's things I know to look for, but it's not something that's common knowledge. It's not something that people tend to look for. So it really, again, depends on how much time it is to even search it out. If it's going to cost $1,000 to save you $50, I'd just say pay the $50. But if it might cost you $50,000 to save you $500.
Perfect client for you, because we've only got a few minutes left. Tell us who should come see you right now. Right now, the people who are looking at their tax returns, they're talking to their tax people, and they're thinking, I'm having trouble with my records. I don't think my tax person understands what's going on. And I think I'm losing so much money, it's probably worth paying a little bit more just to make sure that somebody who looks at this, who knows these things, who can spot issues that nobody else is spotting, can help me out. How would they get in touch with you? Best way is probably to start off with our website. We've got a website, www.lifetimetangoalpha.com. And is there a telephone number they could pick up? They can also call us at 972-771-6707. And what days will you be at the Expo? I think we're setting up on Wednesday, and we'll be there through Saturday night. Okay, so we've got Let's see, that would be Wednesday's the 15th all the way through Saturday, 18th, okay? And the name of your company again is Lifetime Tax. Is there anything else you'd like to tell them in the last 30 seconds here, 10 seconds?
I'd just love to say that, I'm actually a PIG member in Lifestyles. It's helped me out a whole lot. We actually even put all of our staff, all the tax and accounting people, through the 2-day seminar, so that way they have an understanding of what Lifestyles is up to, why this is important, what it is that these people are trying to accomplish as far as when they're trying to leave their W-2 jobs. This is the goal. This is the dream. This is where we can help somebody realize what they're wanting to do.
Well, that speaks well, putting you on the team then, because if you've spent that much time getting involved in what we're doing, then you probably have a good idea. Hey, Nate, thanks a lot for sponsoring the Masters Tour for me and for coming on today. We look forward to seeing you up there. The rest of you, all right back with the Del Walmsley Radio Show.
Teaching you with a roadmap to creating the lifestyle you really want. Keep listening. The Del Walmsley Radio Show returns in moments.
I was at a seminar one time and a guy was sitting up there and he was saying, what you really need is you need the young, aggressive entrepreneur people to go out there and take that money and invest it with them. I walked up to the front of the stage and I said, hey, I'm that guy you're talking about that should be mentoring these people on how to do this. The guy goes, sir, we don't allow solicitation. And I said, no, you don't understand. I'm here to tell you I'm exactly the guy you were telling them to look for. And I'm willing to help them for nothing. And the guy goes, if you don't stop soliciting, I'm going to have security come and get you. And I said, I can see you're a scam. I'll just leave. Everything I said had gone through the intercom. So I walked out of the seminar room and 200 people followed me. And that's how Lifestyles was started.
Are you ready to get up and follow Del? Join us today at lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
You're hearing the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Want more life-changing knowledge? Access our podcast and listen on demand at lifestylesunlimited.com under the radio tab. Now your host, Del Walmsley.
Welcome back to Del Walmsley Radio Show. Today we are talking about the Lifestyles Unlimited Wealth and Passive Income Expo and Multifamily Masters Tour. And with us today is one of the sponsors, the legacy sponsor, Heritage Construction, has Dax Ferguson here representing them today. Dax, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dale. Nice to be here.
Well, it's important to build a team. Real estate's a team sport, just like most businesses are. And construction guys got to be one of the most important. So why don't you tell us about what your company does for our members, and we'll work from there.
Sure. So we are a GC. We work nationwide. We started working in Texas, and that's where home base is. We're in Dallas. But we do everything from due diligence, the physical, lease audit, inspections, and then all the way through helping create your CapEx budget and then executing that CapEx budget all the way through the whole process, dealing with the lenders and whatnot for your draw. So that's a help for the guys as well.
So from the sounds of that, it sounds like multifamily to me. Do you do any single-family work?
I don't, not anymore. We started there, and we started there with Lifestyles, and Lifestyles has been a part of our journey in this whole process for about 7 years. And I guess, Doug, you've done such a good job blowing up the single family. We've grown with you so much that we've grown out of single family, and we strictly do multifamily now. Well, a big part of it is knowing how to work with the leads on the deals so that they can communicate to the investors on what their business plan is and how to execute it with a real timeline, real budgets, so that you're not having to go back and go, oh, shoot, well, we undershot this, and now you need more money. So you can't go back and pull money from where it's not, or change your business plan midstream. So we work with the lifestyles vendor specifically to help them execute their business plan on the construction side, right? So once you do that and you're helping them do that, you have to do it at a speed so that the lender knows, hey, we're going to do 30 units on this property. And so you have to do the 30 units. You can't do 26, or you can't do 35 unless you want to put more money in. So you're trying to keep their business plan on task and then on time. So you can't have a property that's 90% occupied and go down to 30% occupied and expect the lender to still give you money on it. So we have to execute on the construction side as well as on the business strategies with property management.
Now, you said there was 2 points. Was that both points or just one of the 2 points?
Well, that's one of the points. In the lifestyles model, there's a lot of hands-on in training, and so there's a lot of coaching. And the name of our company is Heritage Construction and Consulting Services. We do a lot of consulting with where to spend the money, where not to spend the money. Don't over rehab a property. Don't under rehab a property. We're involved with many different syndicators out there, and we help them create what's going to work well for the community, for the area, and not overspend. You have people that go in and go, well, I'm going to spend, X amount. Well, they only needed to spend half of that, and it was just because that's what they wanted to do if they lived in it. And they're not living in these properties typically, but they're making them nice. And so they don't need to spend the money where they're not going to be able to get the return on it. And so that's a big part of what we're doing when we're working with the leads.
I'm sorry, I had to laugh at that because I used to run into that all the time. They want to make it like they're remodeling their own personal residence for resale, right? Type of deal.
Yeah.
As opposed to functional. So do you find that we have a pretty consistent model across the board? And I go on these road trips, and it seems like most of us all copy each other. We figure out what works, and then we just keep replicating that. Do you find that to be true?
I think you've done a very successful job in creating a replicatable model across the portfolio. You have I almost think it as a fraternity within your community there, where everybody is open to talk to each other, where some groups aren't. They don't want to talk to each other. They feel very secretive. And I feel in lifestyles, everybody's there to help each other, and so they share ideas, what's worked, what hasn't worked, who they like, who they don't like. Thank goodness I've been able to last this long with lifestyles with a good reputation, and it's because your vendor program has led itself to get rid of the people that aren't performing and doing things to the lifestyles way, and or falling flat on their face and not performing. So I think the lifestyles model has been very good to help people be more successful and share ideas versus leaving people out there on their own.
When you do this over and over and over again, there does really break down to other than somebody wants something special, like 3 different types of rehabs. Would you not agree? I mean, I know there's a variation, but in general,
100%. We have 3 different rehabs that we do on a consistent basis, and that's our base price. And then there's going to be one-offs that go on there exactly. But yeah, we have 3 different base models.
Well, that's great. Let's talk about the fact you're going to be there at the Expo February up in Irving. And what days are you going to be there?
I'm going to be there for the whole show. So I'm going to be there with my guys setting up on Wednesday, getting ready, and then Thursday all the way through Saturday night. I'll be in attendance for the show, teaching 4 classes, some on due diligence, some on in place or on rehab, and how you can rehab, the different levels of rehab that we do. So I'll be teaching a couple different classes there. And then I'll be on the showroom floor, the Expo Hall, talking to people, meeting with current customers. We just finished a big lifestyles property in Tyler, Texas. We're about to start another one here in the next month in Oklahoma. So we're blowing and going and talking to customers and telling them about what we do and how we can help them.
All right, Dax, I'll be seeing you up there. With me here today is Richard Robinette from Dodson Legal Group. Richard is sponsoring our Expo, the 2023 Wealth and Passive Income Expo and Multifamily Bus Tour. And he is also going to be in our vendors area to be able to meet you guys. His firm, which is Dodson Legal Group, works with our members on real estate transactions, I believe. Am I right on that?
We do real estate transactions, and we also do syndications. So when their investors are raising money from passive investors, we handle all the legal work and SEC compliance and filings and all the fun stuff that goes along with that, too.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, that's cool. So you've got both ends of the business going on. So when somebody hires you to do a syndication, do they also use you to do the real estate transactional work?
Most of the time, yeah. And we bundle it together. That makes things more efficient because we've got the securities guys talking with the real estate guys. We're all in the same building or in the same firm. So it just makes the transaction go a lot smoother, and we can represent apartment investors literally from LOI to close.
All right. How long have you been doing this stuff?
I've been doing this 6 or 7 years now. My partner's been doing it about 17 years. And so I actually came into real estate as a Lifestyles member 10 years ago and learned real estate at Lifestyles, and then changed my entire law practice to be able to serve Lifestyles members.
So let's talk about a guy that's gone through Lifestyles training to be a syndicator. And we call them lead investors, which is just our little branding name. That means they've gone through and passed all of our training programs. What steps should they use when working with you? And I guess I'm looking for a timetable. When should they touch base with you, and what part of the process? How soon is what I guess I'm asking.
Well, you can't be too soon, right? So as soon as someone decides to become a lead investor, a lot of times they'll call me right then and be like, I'm just starting the training, but I want to put my team together, want to meet you and talk about how you work. That's awesome. Some people wait till they've got a deal. So once they looks like they're going to have a letter of intent on an apartment accepted, they'll call us up, maybe have us look at it, and bring us in to help negotiate on the purchase agreement and start the process from there. So that's kind of how we get rolling.
Okay. And you guys are in the Dallas area. I believe your office is in Denton. What areas do you work? How far away from Dallas will you work with members?
We work nationwide.
Great. Since we're going everywhere and we're in all 50 states, I guess it's pretty beneficial. Let's ask some questions here if we can get out. But just be helpful to people. If you would say, give them just a few simple ideas as to make this process easier for them getting started, I think that would help, and then we'll get them set up to go meet you at the Expo.
100% the best thing that investors can do is get educated and learn the business, learn how the business works, maybe invest in a couple passive deals and see how those leads work. Join a group like Lifestyles that teaches A to Z how you do this, and that makes our job easier. It makes it easier on the lead investor or the sponsor. It makes the transactions go smoother. We have fewer hiccups. Like, education is paramount to succeeding in this business. And I have so many people call me because they saw some guru on YouTube or Instagram. It's like, hey, invest in multifamily. It's so easy. And they don't know what they're doing. They're not ready. And they tend to make messes when they do that.
I can't even imagine, Richard, what it'd be like talking to somebody who's not gone through any classes on this stuff and then trying to tell them what to do. They can't have any idea at all what any of the legal ramifications are, or any of the requirements are to raise capital or anything. So it's got to be a mess. I
can tell you horror stories.
Yeah, that's great. All right, so we've got to get in early. We need to be educated. Is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
Build your network. Have your, meet attorneys. Find the one that can serve you best, that you click with, that you can learn from. Get your CPA in place. Get your insurance broker in place, your mortgage broker in place. Like, don't lay it on these things. Line all these people up so that when that opportunity strikes and when a broker, hands you a deal and says, do you want to buy this $10 million apartment complex? you've got the team in place to jump on it and make it happen.
Okay, that all makes a lot of sense. And when we do that, all right, when we go out there and talk to the broker, do we need to have the process set up yet, the legal structure set up, or can we go get the deal without the process being in place?
You don't need anything set up at first. You can literally sign a purchase agreement in your own name. The purchase agreements on multifamily will always have an assignment clause that says before closing, we can assign this agreement to an entity that the current buyer controls. And so generally, we'll just get you under contract, and then we'll go and form the entity that's actually going to take title to the property. That's usually the entity that's also going to go raise the money in the syndication. And so when we get to closing 60 days later or so, all the paperwork is going to be signed, 123 Main Street LLC, and not in the individual name of the person doing the deal.
All right, Richard, appreciate that little summary for us just to get started. What days are you going to be up there that they can come meet you at the Expo?
I'll be up there setting up Wednesday, and I'll be there through Saturday. And
right.
I'm also speaking in 5 breakout sessions, so there's going to be a lot of opportunity to come hear from us and meet us in the booth or come take a class and learn about this stuff. I'm doing a class on syndications, 2 classes on syndications, doing a class on LLCs, and then I'm doing a 2-part class with a lender and a CPA.
All right, well, we appreciate you being there, and I will see you up there. For the rest of you out there, remember this, it's not the money, it's the lifestyle. Have a wonderful day.
The information and opinions you hear on the Del Walmsley Radio Show are those of the host, Del Walmsley, his guests, and his callers. The Del Walmsley Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Del Walmsley Show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.